Most people think it's dodgy technique costing them all those shots over par. And whilst that may be true to an extent, there's another big reason that could be hurting you, and that's knowing your yardages. With the help of ShotScope, we've put together 5 brilliant tips to show you how and why you need to know your yardages to shave shots off of your scores. I'm here at the amazing Blackmore Golf Club, and Adam Harnett is going to show us how. The most obvious way that knowing your yardages is going to help your game is with club selection, of course, whether it be on a par 3 like this beautiful one behind us, or on second shots into the greens. Now, the first part of that is, of course, Adam, knowing what your yardages are. So how do you work out what your yardages are for each club?
So I think the first thing is having a distance measuring device. Okay, so if you're using a rangefinder or a GPS watch, that's going to be the most straightforward way for most golfers to do it. What I like to do is something that Tommy Fleetwood actually spoke about, which is keep a little notebook in my back pocket, and every time I hit my, say, 7-iron, I'll make a note of how far it goes. And that way then I've got a range of 7-irons, and I'll know that my shortest 7-iron goes X, my longest 7-iron goes Y, and then that gives me a real nice kind of area to work through when I've got a 7-iron shot to the green.
Of course, you can also do it with all the modern technology out there. We've got the LM1 little launch monitor down there, a brilliant bit of kit. You can use that indoors, outdoors, and it will tell you those numbers on a variety of shots. ShotScope's data tracking as well will do that with all of its shot tracking and its GPS. And actually a really little handy thing there is that it will give you the P average, which is essentially how far you're hitting that club with any really dodgy ones taken out. So if you're chipping out of the trees or anything like that. So it gives you that true representation, as Adam said, on how far each club goes. Now, once you've got those numbers, you stood on the tee here, you know where the flag is, you know where the edges of the green are. How are you then choosing the right club?
Well, again, I think it comes down to knowing your shortest and your longest, and then taking into consideration the wind, uphill, downhill. In my notebook, I also make note of if I'm going uphill or downhill or into wind. So when I'm playing on the round, I'll look at my notebook and I'll see, okay, I hit this similar shot a few holes ago. Now I know what to hit. So that's my little Bible.
Right, well, you've chosen your club there.
Yep.
We're going to see if you've got the right one in hand.
Let's have a go.
Well, the line is very good. And that's beautiful, below the hole, putting uphill for birdie. What more do you want? So there you go. A great shot from Adam. Understand what your yardages are and use the technology available to find them, and then factor that in appropriately when choosing your club on approach shots. When it comes to knowing the yardages of each of your clubs, it's important to know that you want to be thinking really about 2 yardages, and that's your carry distance and your total distance, because what those two are and how they relate to each other is really going to aid you with your shot selection and making sure you're taking any hazards out of play, whether that be running into them or flying over them. So what is the difference between these 2 yardages in terms of how you're putting your strategy together, and how do you use them?
Yeah, so I like to think that carry is for flying, total is for dying. And what I mean by that is carry is for flying obstacles, bunkers, ditches, hazards, anything you've got to get over. That number, that carry number, is crucial for those scenarios. And total for dying, so when your ball comes to a rest. Okay, so how far is the ball going to run out? That's my total distance. So that's going to be more for things like getting to the end of dog legs, running into bunkers, those kind of things off the tee.
Now, we've got a lovely shot in here, but that bunker on the right-hand side is just coming into play if we're just right of the pin. Now, when it comes to working out exactly what club to hit here, obviously you've got the back edge to worry about, but the bigger danger is that front and the bunker. So how do you equate it, especially if you're a little bit between clubs in terms of your carry and where that pin is? Absolutely.
Most holes, the danger is at the front, right? So here's a really good example of that. So I want to know the back yardage and the yardage to the flag. It's nice to obviously know the yardage to that bunker, but I'm not going to flirt with it at all. I'm going to completely take it out of play. Most of the time, you've got a good amount of room between the front bunker and the back of the green. So we're going to be aggressive here.
Brilliant. And of course, ShotScope and all of its technologies, if you use it to track your shots out on the course, and the LM1 launch monitor, that will give you both of those numbers so you can know exactly where you are. I know you know what yours are, Adam, and now you're going to put it into practice and fly that bunker with ease onto the green.
Let's give it a go.
An absolutely beautiful shot. The carry distance was there. It soared well over the bunker, even if it had gone a little bit right, but it didn't. And that final distance, that total was spot on as well. Birdie putt upcoming. Underclubbing is an absolute epidemic amongst handicap golfers, and the stats bear that out. Everyone over a 10 handicap is actually more likely to miss it short than hit the green from 150 yards. And when you move to a 20 handicap, you will hit half short. So that is an incredibly high number, which shows we are doing something wrong, Adam. Why is that the case, and what can we do to fix it?
Yeah, I think it's a case of, golfers not truly knowing their yardages. So, really knowing your yardage is so key for that reason. Most people think they hit it further than they do. Mm-hmm. So what I like to do is get a yardage, not only to the flag, mm-hmm. but to the back of the green. When I get a yardage to the back of the green, I know what I'm really working with. Yeah. So here, I've got 150 yards to the flag. I've got 165 to the back of the green. So I'm going to choose a club that I know goes a minimum of 150 and a maximum of 165, rather than a lot of golfers are choosing a club that goes the maximum distance for the yardage. That's why they come up short.
And also here, you can see there's a bunker short. Typically, there is more danger short than long. So if you are going to miss, to be honest, favouring long a lot of the time is actually a bit better.
Yeah, and I think it's great. I played a game as a kid, and this is a really great way of doing it. I gave myself a point every time I got past the flag. Mm-hmm. And that way I kind of changed instead of thinking about trying to get it just on the green or near, I was making sure I got it past all the time. And in reality, I actually was getting it much closer.
Great stuff. Let's see you hit one into this flag. And past it, hopefully.
Let's go past it, yeah.
Looks good. And there you go, on the green, but just past the flag. Brilliant stuff. There you go. Know your yardages and make sure you know that back edge of the green and play just short of it. Knowing your yardages is also absolutely essential when it comes to building an effective strategy that is going to take as much danger out of play as possible. You can see we've got a big old fairway bunker lurking down there behind us, and statistically, the average 15 handicapper is going to drop half a shot by going in that fairway bunker as opposed to finding the short grass. So it really matters. So when it comes to deciding whether you're going to take driver or anything else here and build a strategy, how are you approaching it?
Yeah, so for me, I'm looking at I know my total distance for my driver. Mm-hmm. This particular hole is a little bit into wind. I'm not going to carry that bunker today with my driver. So I need to know the distance I've got to roll up to it, mm-hmm. and choose an applicable club so that even if I hit it solid, I'm not going to reach it. I'm taking the bunker completely out of play.
Yeah, the bottom line is get it in play off the tee, avoid those big bunkers, any penalty areas, any water. Take clubs that are going to keep you out of it. You've made your decision.
Yep.
Let's see you commit to it and find that fairway.
All right.
So there we go, good strategy. The right club in hand takes all of the trouble out of play, and now we're in the fairway and able to attack with our second. One important thing that knowing all of your yardages can do as well is help you build a full picture of the gapping through your bag with your clubs. Now, Adam, what is gapping and why is it important?
Yeah, gapping effectively is the difference in yardage between the clubs. So as you go through the bag, each club, we want to have a nice consistent gap between each club as we move through the bag.
What sort of gap are you looking for? I guess a lot of people would think 10 yards kind of range makes sense.
Yeah, I would say so. It varies on the golfer's ability, so a lot of the time golfers will go and get fitted for clubs, and the fitters, part of the fitter's job is to make sure that they've got a sensible gap between clubs. So it's not uncommon actually to not have certain clubs in the bag because maybe we're lacking a bit of speed and we miss out certain clubs, so we get a nice range through the bag.
Knowing how far you're hitting them might throw up some issues whereby the gapping isn't where you want it to be. Either you've got a massive gap that you've not got a club that you can fit into that yardage, or equally, you've got a couple of clubs that are almost doing the same thing. How do you approach that situation?
Yeah, I mean, if you've got clubs that are going the same distance, quite often it's the longer clubs in the bag, and it highlights usually one of two things: a lack of speed or inconsistency of strike. So really, if you've got two clubs that go the same distance, I'd always advise going for the slightly more lofted one, just to give yourself that bit more forgiveness.
Yeah, and I think you can also get things like now your fairway woods, your hybrids, and that will help, especially in the long end of the bag, won't it? If you're struggling to generate enough speed to get your long irons going different distances, look at those alternatives, hybrid fairway woods.
Absolutely, and nowadays when we've got home launch monitors and data everywhere, it's really quite easy to do your own gapping on the driving range with your home launch monitors. So no excuse really.
Yeah, I also wanted to look at the bottom end of the bag as well, wedges, because often we think, well, I need a 56, a 60, a 52, and we're thinking about the numbers on the bottom of the club. But actually, it's the distance they go that's more important, isn't it? You want to get a spread of yardages and then find the lofts that enable you to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is where, a good fitter comes into their own, because they will make sure that when you're going through your sessions, they're looking at the numbers, and the lofts on the bottom of the clubs start to become irrelevant as long as we've got that nice gap in between the clubs.
There we go, good gapping, so making sure every club has its place in your bag and the setup from top to bottom is correct will just make your life a lot easier. So there you have it, some great tips on how knowing your yardages and using that information can really improve your scores. From getting the right setup of clubs right the way through your bag to planning the best strategy on each individual hole, and ultimately knowing how far every club goes so you can pick the right one. All of these tips will help you save shots. I hope you've enjoyed this video. My thanks again to Top 50 coach Adam Harnett, ShotScope for providing all of the wonderful insights, and Blackmore Golf Club for hosting us. We'll see you next time.